is Nathan Hale. I have 19 hours left to live.
That's right, baby. Wiikspeak episode 9. And we are zooming in to take a look at PlayStation 3 debut awesomeness Resistance 2, made by Insomniac Entertainment. Now, I have had Resistance 2 for about, well, I got it on Christmas, and it's the 30th now, so not too long, but I've definitely had some time to experience the game, and I beat it. And I've played basically the three points of its triangle of awesomeness: the campaign, the cooperative online, and the competitive online. Now, Resistance 2 is the sequel to Insomniac's blockbuster hit Resistance Fall of Man, a game that's probably going to remain one of my favorite games of all time. And so, Resistance 2 is up there as well. Resistance 2 is worthy to be the successor of that awesome game in all forms. Now, Resistance 2, so let's just kind of break this up into fields. First, let's take graphics. Graphics in Resistance 2 are awesome, and they, it's almost like Gears of War 2. Like, the graphical jump from Resistance 1 to Resistance 2 is bigger than, say, Gears of War to Gears of War 2, except you really need, well, it's better to have a side-by-side comparison to really see that extra layer they put on Resistance 2. Like, Resistance 1, it wasn't just the color scheme, but it was just the style Insomniac was shooting for, where everything was just gray. Everything just had a gray tone. Resistance 2 is the opposite. The colors are super vibrant. Everything just totally comes to life. The lighting and the shaders in the game are just unbelievably good. It's bringing in all these new kinds of technologies, like, you know, dynamic lighting and self-shadowing, motion capture, all of this. And I don't really know how it works, but Insomniac, for the cinematics, they actually introduced something of where they can use a real camera to pan the angles digitally in the cinematic. I don't really know how that works, but they're the first company to do that in-game, and it works really cool and delivers the cinematics perfectly. And so the graphics on Resistance 2 are epic, and it's going to satisfy even the most demanding FPS junkie for sure. And kind of in between graphics and gameplay, Insomniac has really stepped up their game on the physics and so on, like that. The physics, and they have like sort of an anatomy, sort of like jib system, where Insomniac kind of made a code name word for it called viscerality, where they really wanted to make the enemies, like in Resistance 1, Resistance Fall of Man, Insomniac wanted to do a shooter, and they had all the right elements, but I think they were still a little shaky from stepping up onto that mature genre after making like Ratchet and Clank and so on. So, but Resistance 2, they had all the confidence they needed, and they just went all out. The game is awesomely gory. Enemies will literally explode, and there will be giblets that will splash onto the walls and then like slide down. You can literally separate enemies' limbs from their body or hack off their heads, and it's much more brutal and much more gruesome and beautiful in my opinion. And so Resistance 2 really hit the net and just was awesome on that. And then we go to the let's take a look at storyline. The storyline in Resistance 2 is very captivating, just like Resistance 1 was, and people were depending on Resistance 2 to answer a lot of the questions that sprung up in Resistance 1. There's almost like as many freaking questions you get from watching an episode of Lost. And so, in Resistance 2, they do give you some answers, but they do it in a way that for every answer, like, 5 more questions come up. So it's kind of annoying how they do that, and the storyline is kind of mysteriously frustrating. You want to get the answers. You're just like, tell me what's going on. And so The storyline is it's beautiful and it's captivating, but it's sketchy, and you're gonna wanna get all the intel pieces in the game to sort of string up the storyline and kind of create a general outline for yourself to see what's going on. But the storyline itself gets top marks, and it is really nice. And they deliver it a lot better because it's perfectly through Nathan Hale's sort of first-person view. Like, you don't have Rachel Parker giving her annoying little narrative like she did in the first game. And then so on to gameplay. The campaign itself is long, juicy, and perfect. I love it. They introduce a lot of new weapons while bringing back a lot of classic ones. The AI and the enemies is surprising. They'll use their alternate fires against you. They'll really lay down covering fire. Like, they'll use their little bullseye tags to try and, really flush you out. And it's very intense. You feel like you're fighting someone online. And I know you must, basically any interview of a game, the producer will say that. But now I'm talking for real. And there's multiple difficulties, multiple unlockables, and multiple intel pieces, which will really encourage multiple playthroughs.